Please be seated. The court is now in session. Today, the chamber continues to hear the remaining testimony of this current witness. Mr. M. Hoi, please report the attendance of the parties and other individuals to today's proceedings. Grazie, Mr. President, for today's proceedings. All parties to discuss are present. Except Anta Guse, the defense counsel for Kee Sampon, who is absent for personal reasons. Mr. Nunji is present in the holding cell downstairs. He has waived his right to be present in the courtroom. The waiver has been delivered to the greffier. The witness who is to conclude his testimony today, that is Mr. Miss Seung, as well as his duty counsel, Ms. Soksajita, are present in the courtroom. Today there is no reserved witness. President, thank you, Mr. M. Hoi. The chamber now decides on the request by Nguyen Chie. The chamber has received a waiver from Nguyen Chie dated 30 June 2016, which states that due to his health, that is headache, back pain, he cannot sit or concentrate for long, and in order to effectively participate in future hearings, he requests to waive his right to be present at the 30 June 2016 hearing. Having seen the medical report of Nguyen Chie by the duty doctor for the accused at the ECCC, dated 30 June 2016, which notes that Nguyen Chie has a runny nose and feels disease when he sits or stands up, and recommends that the chamber shall grant him his request so that he can follow the proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs. Based on the above information and pursuant to Rule 81.5 of the ECCC internal rules, the chamber grants Nguyen Chie his request to follow today's proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs via an audio-visual means. The chamber instructs the AV unit personnel to link the proceedings to the room downstairs so that Nguyen Chie can follow. That applies for the whole day. And I'd like to hand the floor to the defense team for Nguyen Chie to put questions to the witness.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Morning, Counsel. Good morning, Mr. Witness. Mr. Witness, yesterday I showed you some footage, a little film depicting Pol Pot visiting the East Zone, probably early '78. Pol Pot could be seen with Sao Pim. Yesterday you testified that you knew Sao Pim quite well. I also noticed, but please correct me if I'm wrong, that you got a bit emotional when you saw that footage, and maybe because it went a bit fast. I think, with the leave of you, Mr. President, I would like to show that 2 minutes of footage again, and then I would like to ask you to have a particular look at the person who is walking next to Pol Pot. If you could do that for me, Mr. Witness, I would be much obliged. So I think, Mr. President, the AV unit is ready to show those 2 minutes of footage that I showed the witness again.
Judge Zama Lavenge, you have the floor.
peut-être auprès.
Maybe before doing this, because counsel, you said that you believe that this film was shot in 1978, but I didn't see any date. Can you tell us what you base yourself on to tell us that this film was shot in 1978?
Yes, I'm not entirely sure as well that this is footage from '78. I base myself upon a document coming from Bopana Center, which is not on the case file, but it has an English ERN 004222113. I also see a D number. I believe it's D 285/2/2. In French, it says Pol Pot visite une plantation.
Pol Pot is visiting a rubber plantation. Production date?
I don't know if it's correct, but that's why I have some reservations when I said it was early '78. But so this is what I base myself upon.
Yes, you may proceed with the video clip. And it can be replayed. That is the relevant portion that was played yesterday. AV unit personnel, please inform the chamber if you can manage to play it now or you need time to locate the clip again. AV unit personnel, please play the video clip requested by the defense counsel. That is the same video clips that was played yesterday. And witness, please focus your attention on the one person who was walking a bit behind Pol Pot.
Mr. Witness, you had another opportunity to have a look at this footage. Were you able to recognize the person who was walking side by side Pol Pot, or sometimes just behind him?
Yes, I saw the video clip, and that person was a Southern.
Did you now also recognize other people on that video clip?
I do not clearly recognize any other people.
Yesterday I showed you a still from the film, and I believe yesterday you said that that person looked like your father, but it is in fact Heng Samrin. Were you able to recognize Heng Samrin on that video?
President, Defense Counsel, are you speculating? The witness clearly states that the person looked like his father, but comparing the appearance to Heng Samrin, it is far-fetched. So please refer to the transcript again and do not invent a new will. This is the kind of that you are twisting the evidence of the witness.
No, I'm not twisting it. I'm putting it to the witness that the person that he saw, or the still that I showed.
Please refer to the transcript. We tentatively listened to witness testimony yesterday, and the witness expressly stated so. Judge Lavenge, you have the floor.
Counsel Koppe, if you have reasons to believe that this person is Heng Samrin, can you at least tell you why you think that this person is Heng Samrin?
Because he's clearly recognizable as such.
So, well, that is your own testimony, that is your own expertise, but I don't think it's necessary here.
Well, Heng Samrin was the first president in 1979. There's a lot of well-known footage from him. My whole team, the Khmer part of my team agrees that this is clearly Heng Samrin. But if the witness doesn't recognize him, that's fine. But I wanted to be able to ask him one more time if it was indeed Heng Samrin. If he says he doesn't know, it's fine as well.
Look,
Defense Counsel, you should not lead the witness in that same fashion that you object to the other parties using it. Do you not add anything to the testimony of the witness, since he already expressly stated already yesterday?
Well, yesterday I asked an open question, but it's not so important. I will move on, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, when we stopped yesterday, we were talking about a person named Uk Bun Chun. You said that you knew him, and we were talking about what Uk Bun Chun had said about your father and Chan Chak Krai. Let me see if I can refresh your memory by reading the full excerpt of his testimony, or his statement rather, to Ben Kiernan. Mr. President, that is document E3/387, English ERN 00350-211, French 00441426, Khmer 00379-493 494. So this is what Uk Bunchun said. He talks about Chanchakrai. Regarding the matter, I heard from Nguyen Chia in 1974 when he invited all cadres from the eastern zone to attend study sessions in Svay Kling village, Svay Kling sub-district, Krautschmar district. At the end of the study session, we were required to do revolutionary outlook on life, selecting a person as a model. Chan Seng Hong and Chan Chakrai were selected to be the role models because at the time, in 1974, Chakrai already became the head of the first division of the zone. End of quote. Does that somehow refresh your memory? A meeting in 74, Nguyen Chia involved in a meeting during which your father and Chan Chakrai were selected or were chosen as role models of the revolution.
I did not hear that.
The same Uk Bunchun also gave testimony to Ben Keenan, which is laid down in another document, Mr. President, that is E3/432, English ERN 00542-185, Khmer 00583878, French 00712-076 until 77. Uk Bunchun is being asked about your father and about Sao Pim, and he says, so Pol Pot ceased trusting Sao Pim, and he took the zone Deputy Secretary Chan to go to him for education and instruction. And then Chan was made Secretary of the Twin Regions 23 and 24 in order to arrest the people whose names were on the list. Since the political struggle period, Chan was close to Pol Pot. They said Sao Pim was protecting traitors. They put Chan to use them as a base from which to attack the other three regions. End of quote. So, Mr. Witness, Uk Bunchun seems to be implying that your father was somehow connected to Pol Pot and opposed to Sao Pim. I know yesterday you said you don't know anything about this, but does this somehow rings true, or is it incorrect what Uk Bunchun is saying?
I did not know anything about that.
Ukbunchun, a little further down in that same statement, E3/432, English ERN 00542190, Khmer 00583887 and 88, and French 00712-083. Talks about your father, and he says that Chan Seng Hong was a former Isarak, and he says in the East Zone only Chan Seng Hong was faithful to Pol Pot to the end. Is that something that you can say anything about?
I did not have any understanding about this, and I never heard that before.
Your answer will be the same, but just for the record, also Heng Samrin, whom we just discussed, gave a statement to Ben Kiernan, that is E3/1568, English ERN 00651890, French 00743363, Khmer 00713964. Heng Samrin says, and I quote him, Chan Seng Hong was initially loyal, then promoted by Pol Pot when Sao Pim was accused of treason, then later distrusted by Pol Pot and killed after we won. There was a division commander who was with Chan Seng Hong who told me the enemy had killed him. Just putting this also before you, Mr. Witness, you still do not know anything about the alleged rivalry between your father and East Song cadres like Sao Pim, Heng Samrin, Uk Bun Chun, Chia Sim, etc.?
I didn't have a full grasp of the situation.
Mr. Witness, have you ever heard whether Pol Pot was afraid to go to the East Zone?
No, I never heard that.
There is quite some evidence to suggest that both Uk Bun Chun, Ding Sari, and as a matter of fact also Nuon Chia, all say that Pol Pot was very afraid to go to the East Zone because the East Zone was close to Vietnam. When you spoke to Sao Pim or when you were in contact with your father, is that something that you ever heard?
Witness, please hold on, and International Deputy Co-Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. I object to this question because the first part is testimony from the defense, which states that there is evidence, but he doesn't mention anything. I think it's a shortcut. First, maybe he should start with a quote, possibly, and then have the witness react instead of saying that Pol Pot was afraid to go to the East Zone. You could say there's a lot of evidence, of course, that support this, but not enough to put a question. So I think that this is an interpretation of the defense that should be objectified by quoting the relevant passages.
As always, Mr. President, I never make things up. So let me read the evidence to satisfy this prosecutor. Let me start by reading out Uk Boon Chun's testimony, E3/387, English ERN 00350215, Khmer 00379499, and French 00441432. Uk Boon Chun saying, and I quote, "It was because Pol Pot was afraid of Sao Pim. He was afraid of Sao Pim because Sao Pim had strong influence on people in the Eastern Zone." That's the one quote. Then Ing Sari talking to Steve Hedder, E3/89, English ERN 00417608, French 00332690. I don't have a Khmer ERN because I don't think there is one. It says, even Pol Pot and Nguyen Chia, when they were in Sao Pim's zone, the East Zone, they were afraid of Tapim. I went with them once and I knew that and saw that. That is, Pol Pot himself did not dare go down below. He was afraid of Tapim. So in that zone, if Sao Pim wanted to kill and wanted to do something, it was not necessary for him to ask upper echelon. The organization was like that. Each zone was independent, almost what we would call kill as you please, do as you please. And to finish it, Mr. President, E3/4202, which is Ted Sambat's book, 00757528 English ERN, French ERN 008494.
Please repeat the document number as well as the relevant ERN numbers, and please do it slower this time so that the interpreter can follow you.
Yes, of course, Mr. President. E3/4202, English ERN 00757528, French 00849428, no Khmer. The discovery of enemies had a profound effect on Pol Pot, and he often worried that they would kill him. He was especially scared of going to the Eastern Zone because of its proximity to Vietnam. During his Khmer Rouge trial, Duick cited a March 76 document that said Pol Pot was prepared for assassination attempts against him, sending Khieu Samphan or Nguyen Chia to attend events on his behalf. When meetings with Vietnamese officials required going to Vietnam, Nguyen Chia often went in his place. Quote, he was worried.
Please hold on, Counsel, and Judge Laverne, you have the floor.
Counsel Kope, when you quote a document, the interpreters are requesting that you should speak slowly. They obviously did not hear what you said.
I will go slower, but to remind the Chamber, I'm quoting this because prosecution asked so, but I will do it again. I will left where I finished. When meetings with Vietnamese officials required going to Vietnam, Nguyen Chia often went in his place. He was worried he would be smashed. He did not say it, but I know he was scared, Nguyen Chia said. So, Mr. Witness, three different sources, all indicating that Pol Pot was afraid to go to the East Zone to meet with Sao Pim. Again, is that anything that you can recollect, maybe by having heard this from your father or any other sources?
Answer: I have never heard of it. Thank you.
Now let me turn back to Heng Samrin's testimony. Mr. Witness, yesterday you said you only knew of Heng Samrin after 1979. But let me read to you, before I come to him, your answer to the investigating judges, E3/5531. And it's actually question and answer 62. I apologize. You say that at one point on the 25th of May 78, you led about 500 troops to the military headquarters of the General Staff. Do you remember saying this?
Yes, I do.
But at the same time, you said that you didn't know Heng Samrin was someone who actually belonged to the East Zone General Staff, correct?
Correct. I did say that.
Did you know anyone else from the military headquarters of the East Zone General Staff?
I did not know anyone. However, I know that the East Zone General Staff was posted in Prevent Province.
Let me read to you what Heng Samrin said, and maybe that somehow will jog your memory, Mr. Witness. I will be reading from E3/1568, English ERN 00651888 and 89, Khmer 00713962, French 0074336 1 and 62. As I said, this is Heng Samrin's interview with Ben Kiernan, and he says the following. In 1976, on the day of the party's anniversary of foundation, all of the country, they had to eliminate the party's anniversary. Pol Pot sent out a circular instructing us to stop, don't celebrate the party's anniversary, and await further orders. When the orders came, they were to take the year 1960 as the birthday. So we saw at that time that Pol Pot was making new changes by wiping out the history of the people's struggle from 1951. 1976-77, we had a struggle, but a secret one. But at that time it was tight and cramped. There was no opportunity to rise up and struggle. Even Tapim had to struggle. He used to say, "We will have further bloodshed." But there was no opportunity. The opportunity for us to struggle came when they saw us change to some extent. So they made a coup first in order to unclear us. Unclear Khmer words, us. When they did that, we seized the opportunity to rise up and struggle. But because Tapim was sick, before that he was exiled to China for cure. A little further down, before the coup, I was with him. When he gave his orders to fight back against Pol Pot, I was with him. It was clear. Mr. Witness, Heng Samrin, whom you said you didn't know at the time, talks about a secret struggle in 76 and 77. Have you ever heard of something like this, a secret struggle in the East Zone led by Sao Pim, Heng Samrin and others?
I did not hear of it.
Did you ever hear Heng Samrin's forces fighting the center forces many times?
When?
After 25 May 78. Do you know whether there were many military clashes between Heng Samrin's forces and the forces of the center in the East Zone?
After 25 of May 1978, not only Heng Samrin's forces, but also other forces were fleeing and fighting against the forces from the center in the East Zone. Thank you.
Do you know how many military clashes there were after 25 May 1978, before the Vietnamese troops arrived? How many times did Heng Samrin's forces fight with the center forces?
I cannot recall how many times the clashes happened. But when the center's forces entered the location of forces in the army, the East Zone forces would resist the forces from the center and also fled to other locations that happened after 25 of May 1978. And as I said, forces in the East Zone that has to flee.
But my question was, do you know whether the forces led by Heng Samrin had been striking back after 25 May 1978?
Yes, they were striking back, but it depended on the different locations at the time that the clashes happened.
Do you know whether Heng Samrin's forces were at one point later joined by the Vietnamese military forces?
I am not certain about the time. All I know is that it happened in late 1978 and early 1979.
Now let me go back to May 78. Yesterday you said this as well, but let me refer to something you also told the investigators in E3/5531, your answer in 62. Let me read it to you. In the afternoon, I received a letter from Sao Pim through Sam, Sao Pim's former chauffeur. The letter said, to comrades Sa and Soon at the lathing workshop, please have the force ready to fight to protect our force from being captured. Based on our estimate, there must be a military coup led by Son Sen to topple the party's secretary and deputy secretary. End of quote. So, Mr. Witness, you speak about a letter from Sao Pim talking about Sao Pim thinking that Son Sen was preparing a coup d'etat against Pol Pot and Nguyen Chia. Have you ever heard on which grounds Sao Pim thought that Son Sen was going to stage a military coup d'etat against Pol Pot and Nguyen Chia?
President, please hold on. Mr. Vinay, you have the floor now. International Deputy Prosecutor.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. President, I object to this question because when I look at the manner in which it is phrased, it is clear that it is inviting the witness to speculate and to step into Sao Pim's shoes, so the question should be rephrased.
I have no problem in rephrasing. Mr. Witness, did you hear from Sao Pim, or did you hear from your father, or from anyone else, why it was that Sao Pim thought Son Sen was staging a coup d'etat against Pol Pot and Nguyen Chia?
In the whole East Zone, the center's forces purges all members in the military after 25 of May 1978. Everyone who was in the East Zone were arrested by the center's forces and detained at the Tuntum Pagoda in Suong province. District, rather.
I understand, but do you maybe know why it was that Sao Pim thought Son Sen would be against Pol Pot and Nuon Chea?
I do not know about that.
Well, let me see if I read some other evidence that maybe potentially jogs your memory. Again, this is testimony from Heng Samrin, E3/1568, Khmer 00713980, English 00651899, French 007-433-78. This is what Heng Samrin said to Kiernan, Mr. Witness, and I quote, "There were a few of us at the meeting. Not every district was represented, only some. The meeting lasted 2 hours. We discussed resolving the general situation, the events. In general, Tapim was still ambivalent at the time, and he didn't believe me. Had he believed me at the time, he would have survived, because he still believed Pol Pot. He said the coup was Son Sen's doing, who made the coup to overthrow Pol Pot. But I said that it was not Son Sen, it was a policy of Pol Pot. It was very clear that Pol Pot had a policy of screening out internal agents in the party. We had read documents talking about internal agents, so it was clear. They had this in every zone, but the eastern zone already. It was last. At that time, the final action of Pol Pot was to use the machinery of a coup. I told Pim this, but he didn't believe me. He said he still had hope in brother number one. So while we were fighting hard against Pol Pot at that time, Pim had us postpone action for a time." End of quote. Is this something that somehow jogs your memory, Mr. Witness?
I know that the 25 May 1978 event, after that time, I did not see Sao Pim personally. I only received a letter asking me to be engaged in the fighting. However, later on, my commander instructed me to stop the attack of fighting, and I was instructed not to give weapons to the center forces. I needed to wait for the resolution that it might have happened in Phnom Penh with the central forces.
Have you ever heard of plans formulated by Heng Samrin to bring Sao Pim to the east in order to get him out to Vietnam?
I do not know about that. Thank you.
For completeness sake, on the same year ends, Mr. President, it says, according to Heng Samrin, the plan was to take Ta Pim to the east in order to get him out to Vietnam. End of quote. Mr. Witness, you do not seem to know very much, so let me finish by asking you some very small questions. In your answer to question 38 in your statement, your WRI, you speak about Vietnam's first attack in 1977. You call it the Yoon's first attack in 1977. What is it that you remember of that?
Yes, I can recall that. It was in 1972, late 1972, at the time. Vietnamese forces came into Dom Nhat Cha, Chinh Cham district, commune, Bong Tumum district, and it almost reached Suong.
I heard in the translation 1972, but you meant 77, I presume.
Answer: 72. I may have confused. 77.
Well, just to be clear, let me read the full answer that you gave, answer 38. The security office was located in Khnor Chas village, Dam Bay district. After Yoon's first attack in 1977, the security office was moved to a place between Ponya Krek district and Tabung Kmun district to the east of the present road to Chulung Trapieng Sa Ki village. So are you talking about 1977?
Yes, 1977. After the Vietnamese almost reached the Bong Kmum district, it then retreated.
And do you know when it was in 1977 that the Vietnamese attacked Kampuchea? It in the dry season when the rice was ripened. Do you remember any details about this first Vietnamese attack in 1977? Were there many casualties? What exactly happened at the battlefront? Is that anything that you have knowledge about?
I am not certain about the distraction or casualties. I'm not quite sure about that. Thank you.
Very well. My last question, that's about Sao Pim, a question of family of Sao Pim. Do you know, Mr. Witness, whether Sao Pim had a daughter who was married to the son of the chief of the Northwest Zone, Chil? Do you know whether there was a marital relation between the daughter of Sao Pim and Ru Nim's son?
I only know that Sao Pim was father-in-law with Ruhnyam. However, I do not know that who was Ruhnyam's son.
Yesterday you were shown a document by the prosecution showing Salpim's signature. In that document he's talking about going to meet with Runim. Do you know whether Salpim traveled often to the northwest zone to meet with Runim?
No, I don't.
Thank you very much, Mr. Witness. Thank you, Mr. President.
President, thank you. And the last floor is given to the defense team for Mr. Kyu Sompon to put questions through the witness. You may proceed now, counsel. Kong Samon. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Your Honors. Good morning, Mr. Witness. My name is Kong Samon, the National Defense Counsel for Mr. Kyu Sompon. I have several questions, short ones, for you to clarify. Yesterday, at around 4:39 minutes, said the counsel, and at around 15:30, you responded to the questions of co-prosecutor and Cooper in relation to the meeting, the two meetings that you had with your father. You saw your father 2 times, one at Chirkaj and another time at Nea Leung. And besides the 2 occasions, you did not see him even in family reunion. Did the 2 meetings happen in different occasions, or it happened in the same events? Answer: I met my father 2 times, said the witness. Counsel: could you clarify for the court? During the Democratic Cambodia, that is between 1975 and 1979, how many times did you see or meet your father? Answer: I cannot recall it, counsel. Counsel: thank you. At the initial stage, after the victory of 79 April 1975, you went to work at a lathing workshop. And in the same year, you were sent to receive technical training at Rusaikau Technical School based on your testimony. During the time that you were trained at Rusaikau Technical School, did you ever see or meet your father? Answer: I never saw or met him during the time that I came to join the training at Rusaikau School. Thank you.
Question. And after the returns to the East Zone, not to work in the lathing workshop again, how often did you see him, that is that year and the following years? Answer: I rarely met my father, since I hate my own work and he hates his. Question. besides the two dates that you met your father, that is at Nhat Luang and Chư Cai, do you recall any other times that you met your father? Answer: I am not sure about that. Question. Also concerning the times that you met your father, that is at Chư Cai, and you stated that it happened 2 months after the events of 25th May 1978. Can you recall the exact date that you met your father on that particular occasion? Answer: I cannot recall the exact date. My previous statement is not that precise as well. However, I recall that it happened after the event that happened on the 25th May 78. Question. In relation to your WRI, that is E3/55131, at question answer 43 in Khmer, and I believe it could be at question answer number 42 in the English and French version. In that question answer session, you spoke about the request to Sao Prem to release about 40 people, and you said that your chief didn't dare to go and meet him, and that he assigned you to go and meet Sao Prem in person. Can you tell the chamber whether you still stand by that statement? That you made in that WRI, and allow me to quote it. That is question answer number 43. You made the following statement: at the time, I recall that I reacted to that statement, and I want to know about the opinion of my chief, that is Saul. And Saul said that he did not believe that they were traitors because they had never been assigned to work along the Yun border. After a discussion that took place, and there was a minute of meetings from all the relevant units, and at the conclusion of the meeting, we made a letter to provide a guarantee that they were not traitors, and that Sao Prem should retain those people in their respective unit. Mr. Witness, do you recall that statement that you made before the co-investigating judges? Yes, I recall it. Thank you. Question. And do you know the reasons leading up to the arrest of those people? Answer: I did not know the reasons behind it. Question: and do you know who made the decision to arrest those people? Answer: I did not see any written document concerning the decision to arrest. However, my unit chief, that is Seoul, told me that Yin Supi was the person who came to tell him that our unit had to cooperate with the forces of Yin Supi to conduct the arrest of those people. Question: regarding the decision not to arrest those people after you had made with the South Pum, did you see or did you know whether South Pum made that decision on his own not to arrest those people, or whether South Pum had to liaise with the upper echelon requesting them not to arrest those people? Answer: I did not know whether he communicated with the upper level or not, since I myself only met South Pum. Question: can you tell the chamber about the process leading to the decision made by him? Did he make that decision immediately, or did he take time to think about it first? Answer: what I recall is that after I made my report to him, South Pum asked me whether the request to pardon them was my initiative or whose initiative it was. And I told him that it was the initiative of the party's branch committee at the Leffing workshop, and that we united in making that submission to him, and we provided our signature as well. Question: and then what happened next? Do you recall what he told you at the time? Answer: he told me that he was the one who supervised us indirectly, and that he only had information about the reports that we sent as well as our biographies. And if we were the one who had the direct supervision of those 40 individuals, then he agreed and granted the request that we made to him. Question: my next question is related to Jam people. In your WRI, again, that is E3/5531, question answer 50.
បាទ
In the Khmer version, it's a question answer 51. However, in the English and the French version, it is a question answer 50. In that answer, you said that you heard from other people that the Cham people at Paul Island rebelled. Do you recall that statement? Answer, yes, I do. Question. You have testified that you did not witness the rebellion in person, but you witnessed the evacuation of Cham people to Dambai district. Can you tell the chamber whether during such evacuation only the Cham people were evacuated, or there were other people who were evacuated as well, including the Khmer and the Chinese? Answer. Generally speaking, regarding the events that took place in the entire East Zone, there were evacuations of people starting from immediately from 17 April 1975, and people were evacuated or relocated out of their native villages. And I saw people who had been evacuated to live in the jungle in Dambai district. Question. Also, in your question answer 51, you said that the Cham people had been purged. Can you tell the chamber what you meant when you said that the Cham people had been purged? Answer. When I said that they had been purged, I meant that those people residing on Paul Island, after that event, no Cham person remained on that Paul Island, as all of the Cham people had been evacuated. Question. And finally, I'd like to ask about your actual position. You use two different terms to describe it. You said that you were the deputy chief of a laughing workshop, and you also said you are the deputy chief of a laughing factory. So which one is the correct version? That is, after you concluded your technical training at the Risakau Technical School, can you tell the chamber whether it was a workshop or a factory? Answer. To be precise, that a workshop belongs to the East Zone. You can either refer to it as a workshop or a factory, because that was the only laughing workshop or factory existed in the East Zone. question. Yes, I understand that. However, can you tell the chamber the precise term that was used during the regime, whether it was known as a lifting workshop or a factory? Answer. At that time, most of people refer to it as the Sahakam Krolang of the East Zone, or the lifting workshop of the East Zone. Council, thank you, Mr. President. I conclude my question now, and thank you, witness. President, thank you, Council, and thank you, witness, and Mr. Misuan. The hearing of your testimony as a witness is now concluded, and your testimony may contribute to the ascertainment of the truth in this case. You are no longer required to be present in the courtroom, and the Chamber wishes you all the very best. The Chamber would also like to extend our gratitude to the Judicial Council, Mr. Chieta, and you two are excused. Court officer, please collaborate with the witness to make necessary transport arrangement for the witness to return to his house or to wherever he wishes to go to. The Chamber will adjourn the proceedings for today, and we will resume it on Tuesday, 26 July 2016, commencing from 9 o'clock in the morning. And the proceedings on that day is that the Tribunal will hear testimony of a witness, that is through TCW 1005, in relation to the internal purchase. The Chamber would also like to inform the parties and the public that from the 4th of July to the 22nd of July, there will be no hearings since it is a judicial recess. Security personnel are instructed to take Nuon Chea and Khieu Samphan back to the detention facility and have them returned to attend to the proceedings on Tuesday, 26 July 2016, before 9 o'clock in the morning. The court is now adjourned.